Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we are going to talk about a man who changed the world with his truth and non-violence, Mahatma Gandhi. His life is not just a story, but a lesson in patience, courage, and determination. Let's begin. Mahatma Gandhi was born on October 2nd, 1869, in a small town called Porbandar, in India. His full name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. His father, Karamchand Gandhi, was an important man, working as a chief minister in the kingdom of Porbandar. His mother, Putli Bai, was a religious and kind-hearted woman who taught Gandhi the importance of honesty, kindness, and self-discipline. As a child, Gandhi was shy and quiet. He was not a great student, but he was very honest. One story from his childhood shows this. One day, his teacher asked students to spell a word correctly. Gandhi made a mistake, and his teacher tried to help him cheat by giving him the correct answer. But Gandhi refused. Even as a child, he believed in truth and honesty. Another thing that shaped his childhood was his mother's strong faith. She fasted often and taught him that self-control and patience were very important in life. These lessons stayed with Gandhi forever. Gandhi got married at the age of 13 to a girl named Kasturba. In those days, child marriage was common in India, but Gandhi was too young to understand marriage. He later said that child marriage was not a good practice, and he believed people should marry only when they are mature. After finishing school, Gandhi wanted to become a lawyer. His family decided to send him to London, the capital of England, to study law. At the age of 19, he left India for the first time. This was a big step in his life because he was going to see a completely different world. Part 2. A New World in London. When Gandhi arrived in London, everything felt strange and new. The streets were big, the people looked different, and the food was not like the food in India. He struggled at first, especially because he was a strict vegetarian. Finding vegetarian food in England was difficult, but he never gave up on his beliefs. He also wanted to fit in with the English society. He started wearing Western clothes, practicing English manners, and even learning how to dance. But soon, he realized that being true to himself was more important than trying to be like others. He stopped trying to imitate the British and focused on his studies. During his time in London, Gandhi became interested in different religions and philosophies. He read books about Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam. He wanted to understand the world better. He also came across the teachings of Leo Tolstoy, a Russian writer who believed in non-violence and simple living. These ideas deeply inspired Gandhi and helped him shape his future beliefs. After 3 years of hard work, Gandhi became a qualified lawyer. In 1891, he returned to India with dreams of building a successful career. But when he started practicing law, he realized that he was too shy to speak in court. This made it difficult for him to succeed as a lawyer in India. Just when he was struggling, a new opportunity came his way. A businessman from India invited him to South Africa to handle a legal case. This was another turning point in Gandhi's life. He had no idea that this journey would change him forever. Part 3. The Awakening in South Africa. When Gandhi arrived in South Africa in 1893, he was not yet a leader, just a young lawyer looking for work. But what he saw there changed his life forever. South Africa was ruled by the British at that time, and they treated Indians and black people very unfairly. There were strict rules. Indians were not allowed to walk on certain streets. travel in first-class train compartments, or even live freely. One day, Gandhi bought a first-class train ticket to travel to Pretoria. He dressed well and took his seat. But soon, a white man saw him and complained to the railway officials. They told Gandhi to move to third class because he was Indian. Gandhi refused, saying, "I have a valid ticket and I will not leave." The police threw him out of the train at a station in Pietermaritzburg. It was a cold night, and Gandhi sat alone at the station, shivering and humiliated. But instead of feeling angry, he started thinking, "How can I fight against this injustice?" This was the moment that changed everything. Gandhi realized that thousands of Indians faced the same discrimination every day. He decided that he would not just focus on his career, he would fight for justice. Gandhi started learning about laws, writing in newspapers, and organizing meetings. He told Indians, "We must stand together and fight peacefully." In 1894, he formed the Natal Indian Congress to protect the rights of Indians in South Africa. This was his first step as a leader, but the fight was not easy. The British passed a new law saying that all Indians in South Africa had to carry special identity papers or be sent to jail. Gandhi refused to accept this injustice. He encouraged people to protest peacefully. This was the birth of his idea of satyagraha, truth and nonviolence. Part 4. The birth of satyagraha. Gandhi told Indians in South Africa not to obey the unfair law. Thousands of people joined him. They refused to carry the identity papers, even if it meant going to jail. Gandhi himself was arrested many times, but he never gave up. The British tried to suppress the protests. The police beat up protesters, arrested them, and even burned their homes. But Gandhi told his followers, "Do not fight back. We must win with love and truth." His peaceful resistance movement continued for several years. People called him Mahatma, meaning great soul, because of his patience and kindness. Even though he was imprisoned multiple times, he never lost hope. Finally, after 8 years of struggle, the British government gave in. In 1914, they removed the unfair laws against Indians in South Africa. Gandhi had won, not with violence, but with peace and determination. His victory in South Africa was just the beginning. A bigger fight awaited him in India, the fight for independence from British rule. Part 5. Return to India. A new battle begins. In 1915, after spending 21 years in South Africa, Gandhi returned to India. He was not the same young lawyer who had left. Now, he was a well-known leader, respected for his bravery, wisdom, and peaceful resistance. When he arrived, thousands of people welcomed him. They had heard about his success in South Africa and believed that he could help India gain freedom from British rule. But Gandhi knew that before fighting for independence, he had to understand the real condition of the people. Instead of living in big cities, Gandhi traveled across India, from villages to towns, from farms to factories. He saw that farmers were starving, people had no rights, and the British were exploiting them. They forced Indians to grow crops that they could not eat, taxed them heavily, and treated them like slaves in their own country. Gandhi decided that India needed a new strategy, one based on nonviolence, self-reliance, and unity. He started living a simple life, wearing only khadi, homespun cotton clothes, and encouraged people to boycott British goods. His message was clear. We don't need the British. We must build our own strength. Part 6. The first big protest, Champaran and Quetta movements. Gandhi's first major movement in India was in Champaran, a district in Bihar. The farmers there were forced by the British to grow indigo, a plant used to make dye instead of food crops. Even when the price of indigo fell, they were still forced to grow it. They were starving and deeply in debt. When Gandhi heard about their suffering, he traveled to Champaran to see it for himself. The British authorities tried to stop him. They ordered him to leave the district. But Gandhi refused and said, "I will not leave until justice is done." Thousands of farmers joined him. They peacefully protested, refused to grow indigo, and demanded their rights. The British tried to arrest Gandhi, but the people stood fearlessly beside him. Finally, after months of struggle, the British gave in. They allowed farmers to grow whatever they wanted and reduced taxes. This was Gandhi's first major victory in India. Soon after, another crisis arose in Kedah, Gujarat. The region was hit by drought, and farmers were unable to pay taxes. But the British refused to help. Instead, they demanded full payment. Gandhi led a peaceful protest once again. The farmers stopped paying taxes, even when the British seized their lands. The movement continued for months, and finally, the British relaxed the tax rules. This victory strengthened Gandhi's belief that non-violence was the strongest weapon. Now, the whole country began to see Gandhi as their leader. People believed that if anyone could free India from British rule, it was him. Part 7. The Non-Cooperation Movement. India Rises Together. By 1920, Gandhi had become the face of India's freedom struggle. The British continued their harsh rule, imposing heavy taxes, arresting leaders, and silencing anyone who opposed them. But Gandhi had a bold plan, a nationwide non-cooperation movement. He urged Indians to boycott British goods, schools, courts, and jobs. He told them, "Why should we help the British rule us? If we stop cooperating, their rule will collapse." For the first time in history, millions of Indians, farmers, workers, students, and even women united against the British. They burned British-made clothes, refused to pay taxes, and resigned from government jobs. The streets were filled with protests, but everything was peaceful. The British were shocked. They used violence to suppress the movement. Police attacked peaceful protesters, arrested thousands, and tried to break people's spirits. But Gandhi remained calm and determined. However, in 1922, something unexpected happened. In a small village called Chauri Chaura, angry protesters set a police station on fire, killing several officers. Gandhi was deeply hurt. He believed in non-violence, and this act of violence was against his principles. So he called off the movement. Some leaders disagreed with his decision, but Gandhi said, "Freedom achieved through violence is no freedom at all." He was later arrested and sentenced to 6 years in prison, but this did not stop the movement. The people had awakened. They were now ready to fight for their freedom. Part 8. The Salt March, Breaking the British Rule. By 1930, the British still controlled India with strict laws. One of the most unfair laws was the salt tax. Indians were not allowed to make their own salt. They had to buy it from the British, who made huge profits from this basic necessity. Gandhi saw this as the perfect symbol of British oppression. He decided to break the law peacefully. On March 12, 1930, he started the historic Salt March, a 240-mile journey from his ashram in Sabarmati to Dandi on the Arabian Sea. He walked for 24 days, along with thousands of followers. The world watched as this simple man in a white dhoti walked across India, gathering support at every step. Finally, on April 6th, he reached Dandi and picked up a handful of salt from the sea, breaking the British law. This small act sent shockwaves across the world. Millions of Indians followed his example, making their own salt, protesting in the streets, and defying British rule. The British responded with brutality. They arrested over 60,000 people, including Gandhi. But the movement had already shaken the British Empire. Newspapers across the world called Gandhi the man who defeated an empire without violence. By now, it was clear. India's independence was only a matter of time. The British could no longer ignore Gandhi and his movement. Part 9. The Quit India Movement. The Final Battle. By 1942, the world was in the middle of World War II, and the British were using India's resources for their war efforts. But they had still not granted India independence. Gandhi knew it was time for the final push. On August 8, 1942, he launched the Quit India movement, demanding that the British leave India immediately. He gave one of his most powerful speeches, telling the people, "Do or die. We shall either free India or die in the attempt." This time, the movement spread like wildfire. Factories shut down, schools closed, and trains stopped running as millions of Indians joined the protests. The British saw this as a direct challenge to their rule. They arrested Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, and thousands of other leaders overnight. But the people did not stop. Common men and women took charge, organizing secret meetings, strikes, and protests. Even though the British used guns, lathis, and mass arrests, they could not silence India. Gandhi, now in his 70s, was kept in prison, but he continued to inspire the nation. The movement had one clear message: the British had to go. The pressure on the British kept growing. After World War II ended in 1945, they realized they could no longer hold on to India. The empire was collapsing, and the demand for independence was unstoppable. Part 10. India's Independence. The Dream Fulfilled. Finally, after years of struggle, sacrifices, and determination, the British agreed to leave India. On August 15, 1947, India finally became an independent nation. It was a day of joy, celebrations, and pride, but also a day of pain. As part of their exit plan, the British decided to divide India and Pakistan, leading to mass violence, riots, and suffering. Gandhi was heartbroken to see the country he fought for split into two. While the nation celebrated freedom, Gandhi spent the day fasting and praying for peace. Even after independence, Gandhi continued to work for harmony between Hindus and Muslims. But on January 30th, 1948, tragedy struck. A man who opposed his vision of unity shot him 3 times at point-blank range. As Gandhi fell, his last words were, "Hey Ram." The nation mourned deeply. The man who had led India to freedom without violence was gone. But his legacy lives on. Gandhi's teachings of truth, non-violence, and courage continue to inspire the world. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. See you in the next video.